everybody. It's Georgia Rose from the Zencuda community, and you are in the Soul Space Monday night at 7 o'clock on Strong Island Television. So I am actually recording from my home again this week because what has happened now? Well, it's been quite a week. As you guys know, we had all of those planets going into Aquarius, new emerging energy, and we've had Uranus in play and Taurus and a lot of activation in my own personal chart. And so I am now on crutches. Yeah, great. Uranian moment, if ever there was one. Just completely stumbled over my own feet at home, and my knee is completely messed up. But hopefully it'll be a quick recovery. I'm going to the osteo today. So I couldn't drive myself to the studio, and I just felt very tired, especially because I had the flu the week before. And so here we are in the soul space, and I am so grateful because I get to spend some time with all of you and also just count my blessings. I woke up this morning and Alexa told me it was going to be 50 degrees out, and I was like so happy about that. The morning dove has come back, and every morning I hear him cooing, which is a beautiful sign of spring. So I think that before long, we're going to have some beautiful temps here in the Northeast of the United States and hopefully some great stuff going on. So I have something special for you today. What I wanted to do today was kind of give you guys a little bit of a tutorial about astrology, a basic little class that I call Follow Your Sun. It talks about your sun sign and gives you a basic idea of, reading a chart for yourself. I believe astrology is a great way for self-discovery and self-development and also self-actuation to be able to take action on the things in our life that are, challenges and also our greatest assets and how to time those. So I'm going to jump right in and share my screen with you guys to show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. Okay. So when we have the astrology charts and we're talking about astrology in general, we oftentimes talk about the natal birth chart. And the natal birth chart in astrology is basically, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for 1 minute. Okay. And so I'm just going to explain about the astrology chart. So when you for a reading and you want to do a basic astrology chart, many times what we're talking about is your natal chart. The natal chart is where the planets and everything in the sky was when you were born. And so when you look at a natal chart, what it's really looking at is your map, your roadmap of your life and your karma and the things that are your best attributes. And so, and also where your challenges are going to be. So it's a really great way and a great tool to not only make plans for, your life choices and your life decisions, but it's also a great way to understand yourself and why you are the way you are and certain things that are really unique about you. And that's why it's really important to go to an astrologer that you really trust and that really has studied for a long time, because you don't want somebody who's just giving you information, generally speaking, like, oh, you're a Gemini sun, you're going to be this way. I'm going to give you some general information today just for the explanation of charts and a teaching method, but you want to have information that's individual about your chart that's going to help you the most. And that's why you really want to go to a professional astrologer and make sure that you're going to somebody you really trust. So going to share my screen with you guys and show you exactly some things about what a birth chart is, how we read birth charts, things like that. So as we talk about charts, of course, we're talking about the natal chart, the birth chart. And that's, like I said, where the specific placement of the stars, planets, and asteroids were in the sky at the time, date, and place of your birth. And the reason why that place is really important is because of the longitude and latitude in the sky and where the planets are placed. If you're in London, the moon's going to be in a different position than it is if you're in New York, right? And then that chart gets divided into 12 signs and 12 houses. These are known as the archetypes of the zodiac, and they represent the qualities and a certain area of life for you. So I'm going to explain that a little more. So when you look at the signs, planets, and houses, what you're really looking at is the 12 signs of the zodiac represent your personality traits. Aquarius, Gemini, Capricorn, they all have different archetypes that play into your personality. And then we have 12 houses of the zodiac, which represent areas of life. And those 12 houses are like a pizza pie broken into slices, which I'm going to show you on a chart in a minute. And that represents an area. Like the first house is the house of self and who you are becoming. The second house is self-preservation and the things that you value and things like that. And we'll go over all of that today in our little video, in our little class. So this is what a natal chart is going to look like. It might look a little different depending on what software you use. I use the POFRI method of houses, which you don't really need to know about right now, just for basics. But you can go on astro.com or astrologycafe.com and you can put in your birth time, date, and place of birth, and it will come up with a chart that'll look something like this, or it may be different colors, but all charts have some things that are the same. And some of the things that are the same is these glyphs or symbols that are around the outside of the chart. They represent the signs of the zodiac. And it's a good idea for you to memorize what those glyphs are and what signs they represent if you're going to read your chart or have a basic information about a chart. For instance, this on the rising here, because it says here we have AC, that's the ascendant or the rising sign. It's always in the first house. This is the Libra symbol. So this person is a Libra rising or a Libra ascendant. And you can see that's written up here, Libra ascendant on the chart. So these outside glyphs or symbols are what the house's sign is. And then each one of these divisions, these wedges that looks like a pizza pie is a house. And you can see they're numbered from 1 to 12 because there are 12 houses in the zodiac, 12 signs in the zodiac. The signs represent personality traits. The houses represent areas of life. For instance, a first house Libra is here because this is the first house and the sign in it is Libra. Many times we have more than one sign in a house. And that's because as the degrees of the house or the further along the house is, the personality trait or the wisdom or the archetype of that house will change. These are the 12 zodiac signs and the symbols or glyphs, as we like to call them, of what each sign represents. And you can see the date of time of the year that each one of these represents. And oftentimes we have what are known as cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, which actually start off the seasons, spring, summer, fall. Capricorn starts off winter. And here are some of the key words for the 12 zodiac signs. And these are very broad, just descriptive words that give you an idea of the archetype of that particular sign of the zodiac. And it'll also give you a little bit of information about, well, gee, I'm a third house Capricorn. What does that mean? Well, the third house is our communication style, the way that we communicate. So if you're a Capricorn, you're going to be very straightforward. You might be stubborn, but you're also very loyal. So that gives you an idea of what your personality is and what your chart is symbolizing for you. So you see how it works? But what I will say is that the most important way to learn your own chart and understand the archetypes or the symbols and the signs of the zodiac is to feel them, have an understanding of what their emotion is, what they represent. And then when you look at your chart, you're going to be able to see exactly how they're different for you. Like someone could have a Capricorn moon and meet someone with a Capricorn moon, but maybe your Capricorn moon is in the second house and their Capricorn moon is in the 12th house. So it's going to be representing completely different things in the chart, even though you may have some of the same traits. And that's why general astrology, those memes you read on social media or those videos you watch on YouTube that are very broad and general, unless you understand your chart, they really don't apply or mean anything to you. And then we have the 12 houses, which represent an area of life. And each of the 12 houses has a natural sign in respective order. That's what we call the natural zodiac. The natural zodiac always begins with the sign of Aries, which is the first house. Taurus is the second house, etc. So some fall on important angles known as the MC and the IC. The MC is going to be your career occupation direction, and the IC is the way that you seek security and family. So the natural zodiac always begins with the first house, which is Aries. But that doesn't mean you're a first house Aries. You may be, but because of the time, place, and day that you were born, you're going to probably have something different in your first house. And that's why zodiac and your own personal natal birth chart is so important to interpret. So this is a kind of a very broad idea of what the houses represent. And awareness of self is the first house. What we value is the second house. Your immediate environment, your siblings and communication, your neighbors is the third house. Your fourth house is family, security, home. Your fifth house is kids, creativity, and fun, lightheartedness, sex. Sixth is your daily routine or your daily life. So, for example, Virgo is a lot about health. So, if you're a sixth house Virgo, your daily routine is going to be a lot about health. Seventh is your relationship sector. Whenever I do a reading, people are always interested in that seventh house for relationship and marriage. That's how we relate to the world and our awareness of others. The eighth house is sex, death, and transformation. The ninth house is travel and education. The 10th house is your career and your power status, how you're seen in the outside world. The 11th house is friends, groups, and goals. The 12th house is your soul house, your spiritual, your transcendence, your transformation in this lifetime. So you can see how if you start to apply those archetypes that we had a few slides ago and these key words to where they are in your chart, in your houses, once you understand the glyphs, right? Remember, in the chart, we've got these symbols on the outside of the chart representing each one of the 12 houses. And now I've just gone over with you what each one of the 12 houses means. So if you're going to understand your own chart, I would really familiarize myself with these glyphs, these symbols, what they represent, study them. And then you're going to want to have some key words for each one, like Capricorn is hardworking and straightforward. Taurus is sensual and down to earth. And that way, when you look at your chart, you can put it all together and say, oh, well, I have Taurus in my second house. So I'm going to value things that are really down to earth and sensuous. You see how it works? So the 12 signs also have modalities and elements. Modalities are cardinal signs, which are the signs that start seasons. Very easy to remember. We start seasons with Aries, spring, Cancer, summer, right? Anyone who has a Cancer birthday, especially around the 4th of July, you know that's the summer kickoff, right? Libra is fall. You Librans know that that's when you start getting your pumpkin spice latte and seeing the leaves fall. And then Capricorn is the beginning of winter. Once Christmas starts to arrive and the weather gets cold, we know those Capricorn energy comes in. And then each one of those 12 signs also has an element associated with it: fire, air, water, or earth. And the 12 zodiac signs are in 4 groups of 3 signs each. Your fire signs are Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Those are strong emotions, enthusiastic, passionate, temperamental. They're achievers and they're very interesting. And then you have water signs. Water signs in our chart are where we're going to have more emotions. So if you have a moon in a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, you can be very mysterious, just like the moon. You're going to be more private, sensitive, emotional. And when we have a moon coming in, a full moon or a new moon in those signs, you will absolutely feel it. The same with all the other signs. If we have a new moon or a full moon coming in Aries and you're a fire sign, you're going to probably feel that a lot when those moon signs come in. Earth signs of Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, they're going to be dependable, grounded, because think about Earth. And our air signs, they're going to be more in their heads. Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, they're more intellectual. They think about things. They think about a lot of things. They're powerful, creative, and fun, but they're also adventurous and exciting because they're air. So when you think about the elements associated to the signs, think about what does an actual element feel like? What is fire? It's spicy and hot and warm, and it can be very destructive. It can come in and burn something down, but it can also heat your food and make you warm and keep you alive, right? And then if you think about water and the water signs, water is definitely emotional. Our emotions ebb and flow, just like the tides coming into the shore and then going back to the ocean or to the ocean. So, that water comes out to be individuated and then goes back in as unity. So that's the water signs. And where water is in our chart, we're going to want to have a sense of individuation, but we're also going to want to be part of a community, part of something unifying, which is source. We're going to be very connected to our higher power. And think about Earth. What is Earth? It's hard. It's practical. It is dense, right? It's reliable. It's sturdy. It's dependable. So Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn in your chart is going to be where you're very steady and sturdy and where you like to have things that are, you can rest your hat on and you can put your feet firmly on, right? So if you're an earth sign moon, you're going to be someone who likes practicality and finds security in that. And then there's the air sign. What is air? You can't capture air. You can't harness air. You can't predict what it's going to do all the time. Those are our air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. They're powerful and creative and fun, and they have a lot of ideas, and they're, electric and adventurous and exciting, but you can't capture them, right? Nobody puts baby in the corner. So the modalities are the qualities of the sign. They have specific characteristics, the way we define and respond to stimulus and pressure in daily life. So the modalities are part of how we relate to the world and how we relate to other people and how we relate to things. If you're a cardinal sign, Libra, Cancer, Aries, Capricorn, and that's your sun, you're going to be very much a starter, an initiator of things. You're going to make things happen. You're going to create change. When you're one of those signs and you come in a room, you're going to want the room to be different. You're going to want to rearrange the furniture a little bit, whether that is hypothetically, just metaphorically, or whether you actually do it. My dad was a Gemini, and my dad also had a lot of cardinal energy in his chart. And my dad was extremely charismatic. We always used to say, when my father walked in a room, the room changed. And that is your cardinal signs. Then you have mutable signs, which are flexible. They're indecisive. They're adjustable. They're resourceful. Mutable signs are, Scorpio, Virgo. Those are people that, are changeable a lot. They change their mind a lot. And then you have your fixed signs, which are stubborn and focused and determined, and they resist change. They're organized. So here's a chart for the element and the modality. Cardinal Earth is Capricorn, Taurus. Cardinal Earth is Capricorn. Fixed Earth is Taurus. If you've ever met a Taurus, think of the symbols. Taurus is the bull, right? Do you ever try to move a bull? You can't move a bull. Bull's not going anywhere unless the bull's ready to go. They are earth. They are stable and they are fixed. They're going to maintain control. That is what they are born to do. But if you're an earth sign and you're Virgo, you're mutable earth. So you're going to adapt. You're here to actually keep adjusting and adjusting life. And you do that through hard work and transformation. If you are an air sign and you're a Libra, you're a cardinal air. So you're going to take that creative initiative. You're going to be really into initiating relationships, meeting new people. If you're an Aquarian air sign, but you're fixed, Aquarius is fixed air. It's determined. It wants things to be a certain way, etc. Gemini is a mutable air sign. Geminis are always, always curious and adapting and adjusting and changing. And then you have your water signs. They're emotional. They're responsive. Their instincts and intuition are very, very deep. If you have a person or you have all water in your chart, you are like a receptor. You're a transmitter. You are just constantly in your intuition. If you're a Cancer sign, you're cardinal water. Your emotions drive you. Everything that you do is emotionally based. It's all about the emotion in relationship. You got to feel a certain way to be secure. If you're a Scorpio, you are a fixed water. Scorpios are emotional, but they're also stubborn. They don't like change. Scorpios want to dig their heels in. What does Scorpion do? It goes and burrows in the dirt, right? Scorpions are very defensive. They defend. And if you're a Pisces, you're mutable water. Pisces are the flow of the river. They're going to go in every crevasse and flow around the rocks and become adaptable. And why do they do that? Because they're looking for connection. And then you have your fire signs. If you're cardinal fire, you're Aries. Aries has a lot of ego recognition. It's all about me, me, me. And most of the time when you have Aries, wherever it is in your chart, that's where you like to start things. It's not necessarily where you like to finish things. And if you're a Leo fire energy, you're a fixed energy. Leos are the lion. They're routine creatures. They're creatures of habit. They fixate on something and they become extremely intense about it. And if you're a Sagittarian, you're a mutable fire sign. Saggies like to travel and see different things and see new things and stay fresh and new and keep being curious and responsive. So what are complementary elements? People ask me this all the time. I'm a Pisces, I'm a water, my boyfriend's a Leo, he's fire. What does that mean? Well, think about it. These are your planet symbols so that if you read the chart and you want to know what someone is, But if you think about it, what planets are complementary to each other? Well, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and talk about that. So if you are a fire sign, right, and your boyfriend's a water sign, what's that going to be like? Well, probably he's going to put out some of your fire or keep trying to. Because what does water and fire do? Water puts out the fire. Unless you put a little oil in, and then the fire can make fire anywhere, right? So water and fire isn't always good. But like I said, individuation is really important when you're looking at a chart. You want to individuate each factor because it really depends on, is he a water sign, but does he have a fire moon sign? Then it may really, really work. So you really have to look at both charts. And I do something called synastry, which is where you take two charts and overlay them on each other of two people. And it shows you not only what the relationship is, but it also shows you how those people are going to interrelate and relate to each other. It's really interesting. So, just because you're a fire sign and he's a water sign doesn't mean you might not mix. It's general speaking, but it could also mean that there are things in your chart that do gel, and it also depends on the planets and the houses they're in. If you're both earth, a lot of times what happens is when you first get into the relationship, it'll feel familiar and comfortable, but then it gets very boring and you get in a rut very quickly because there's so much earth in the chart. If you are both water, it's going to be an emotional, probably relationship. If you're both fire, you're going to be like, JR and Sue Ellen. You're going to combat all the time, both be stubborn and want to get your way, but the passion and the sex is going to be off the chart. So it really depends on your own individual charts, how they come together, and what aspects you all have within them as far as what modalities complement. And that also goes for, people when they're raising children. A lot of times they'll come to me and ask me to do a birth chart for the little one because they want to know how to parent that child. Really, really interesting when you think about the things that you can utilize through the birth chart. It really is amazing. So I'm going to share my screen again and finish my little presentation for you guys. So in addition to what are complementary elements, we also have these planet symbols. And you can go online, you can even Wikipedia or Google, and you'll see the glyphs and the symbols. If you're going to familiarize yourself with your chart, and I know a lot of people is like, oh, I want to read chart, and they start pulling charts for people. Unless you've studied astrology 10 years, you really don't want to do that because you're going to give misinformation and you're also going to start thinking things that probably aren't true. Why is that? Because it's just like trying to read your own tarot cards. You are going to be looking at that chart through the lens of your own conditioning and belief system, which is not the other person's. So that's why you want to have someone who doesn't really know you that well read your chart, a professional astrologer. Because if you start amateuring trying to read charts of like your family or your people, you're going to jump to conclusions based on your experiences. You're also going to look for things that validate your experiences, and you're looking at it through your own conditioning and belief system. So it's not going to work. You need to go to an astrologer. So your own chart, though, you can look at because a lot of times what will happen is in your own chart, it will show you where your conditioning is and the things you need to grow out of. So in the natural astrology chart, like we just said, you have your 12 houses, your 12 pieces of the pizza pie, and they all have in your chart, they'll have a sign that is associated with them. Well, each one of those signs that we just saw, each one of these planets actually rules a sign. And we're going to go into that right now because that'll also give you an idea of how to interpret that chart. So I'm going to go over to where I am here. So this is the energy of the planet. The moon's nodes are their past and future. There's something called the nodes of the moon, which are those symbols that look like hooks. But the energy of the planet is this way. Your sun is your life force. So if you're an Aquarian sun and you look up a few keywords of Aquarius, you know that that personality trait is going to be related to your life force. If you're an Aquarius moon, that archetype, those personality traits, those things are going to be related to your emotions because the moon is our emotions. It's the unconscious in the chart. It's the mother. So you can see how the planet that is in the sign and the house all adds up to interpreting the chart. Mercury is our minds, our mental state. That's why when Mercury goes retrograde, a lot of times people think things are glitchy because it's really all about our communication. Venus is love and romance, partnership, what we value. It's the woman, it's the feminine. And Mars is the masculine. That's why I know there was a book written a while back, Men Are from Mars and Women Are from Venus. It's very true because Venus is and we all have a Venus side. Men have a Venus side as well. That's their feminine side, where they like to romance and partnership and love and values. And then Mars is all our masculine side. I have a masculine side. All women do. Mars can be warlike and aggressive, but it can also be assertive. If you're looking to do something in your life, you want to tune into your Mars because that's where you take action. And Jupiter is our wisdom. Jupiter expands everything. It's also benevolence and luck. It's space, but it's the future. It's our vision for the future. And Saturn is restriction. It's authority. You know, I always use the expression you're having a pillow fight watching cartoons as a kid on a Saturday morning, and then dad comes in and takes the pillows away and makes you get in the car and go visit granny. That's Saturn. Saturn comes in to teach us karma and lessons. It's the authority. It's the structures of our life. It's time and it's dense. And then we have Uranus, which is quirky, original, abrupt, lightning, revolution, renewal, electricity. You hear me talk about Uranus a lot on my show and in my videos and social media because Uranus rules Aquarius. And right now we have a tremendous amount of Aquarian energy. And Neptune right now is traveling through Pisces in everyone's chart. So Neptune is transcendence, spirituality, illusion. It's also where we suffer, where we find what the meaning of our suffering is. It can also be our self-sabotage and our fogginess. But Neptune in Pisces for the next couple of years actually also gives us, because remember we said Pisces is that looking for source, that water that goes in between the rocks and finds every nook and cranny to connect. So if you have a planet like Neptune, which is spirituality and suffering and illusion and transcendence in a sign of Pisces, put it together, what does that mean? It's a spiritual revolution that's happening right now on the planet. And we need to do so responsibly because every Tom, Dick, and Harry all of a sudden is an astrologer or a guru or reading cards online. And to me, that's super dangerous. So make sure you're very, very protective of your soul space, Zencuda. So Pluto is our deep transformation, our underworld, it's humiliation. It's also our power. When you want to accomplish something in your life, Pluto is probably going to reveal to you what needs to be transformed. And it does it from the deep, briny depths. And then we have Chiron, which is the wounds that we must heal in this lifetime. And Chiron gives us the revelations that show us where we need to heal. So the three main components that make up your personality are your sun sign, which is the day and month you were born. And it's kind of how you see yourself, but it's also what you are supposed to become in this lifetime. Your sun sign in your first house is where your soul comes into the world with the intention of who you are supposed to be and who you are supposed to become. So that first house symbol, sign, and any planets there are extremely important in your soul's intention and journey in this life. It actually shows you what your soul has incarnated to do as far as your own identity. It's where the soul finds the identity of the soul of your lifetime. Then you have your rising sign, which your birth time initiates. And this is the persona as you are seen by the outside world. And a lot of people look at that first house as their ascendant and, you know, lots to do with the outside world. But actually, the way that you will relate to everything is the opposite. It's your descendant. And your moon signs change every 2.5 days. And that's how we process emotions. That's why our emotions are constantly changing because the moon is constantly revolving around the earth. Every 2.5 days, it changes a sign. So that's why if you have, say, a sister or a brother that was born, you're born on February 22nd, and your brother or your sister, your mom is February 26th, you're not going to be the same moon sign. You're going to have very different ways of processing your emotions, even though you may be very similar in other ways. So our sun sign in the birth chart symbolizes the self. It's your personality and your way of being in the world, but it's also the most important planet in your chart. And the reason for that is a couple of things. First of all, when the sun comes into the chart, every other planet, and I'm an evolutionary astrologer, so I talk a lot about the soul and the soul's intention in this life. Every other planet comes into your lifetime, and I believe in reincarnation. This is not your first go around, all right? Every planet holds energy of the past, of past lives, of past soul connection, every planet, except the sun. The sun has no conditioning. The sun is where the soul comes into the lifetime to find the identity in this lifetime. So it has no past conditioning. It has no memory. The sun is the one planet that comes in for a completely new experience. And the reason it does that is because our journey in this lifetime and all the other planets and all the other experiences that we have are created by the soul to develop that identity and that authenticity of the sun. So the sun is really an important planet in the chart because it's going to show you what the soul came in to identify and create in this lifetime for your identity. Really, really interesting when you think about it that way. And that's why you want to have an astrologer that's your astrologer. You know, you all have a hairdresser or somebody that functions in a certain way for you. You all get your mani-pedis and you have your girl who does your hair and your nails. Do you have someone who does your chart? And you should be seeing your astrologer every 3 to 6 months to go over your progressions because this is all you need for the information in your life. So the sun represents the higher self and your soul purpose. It's what the soul came into the lifetime to do. And it's the place where it would develop your identity. And this symbolized the most important lesson that you are here to overcome in this lifetime. We cannot survive without the sun. And in our chart, it has much to teach us. So the sun and the ruling planet of that sign, I'm a Libra sun. Libra is ruled by Venus. Anyone who knows me knows one of my vitality and my life force is all about relationship to everything and that Venus, love, and just being in connection and values and where we find personal satisfaction in our values. And then we have what the sun sign is. What sun sign are you? And these are all the dates for all the sun signs that are in our chart. So if you were born between March 21st to April 20th, you're going to be in Aries. The symbol is the ram. Your keyword is I am. If you're a Taurus, those are the dates. The sign is the bull. And your keyword is I have. Taurus is all about resources. And then Gemini in May into June is the twins. I think. Geminis are here to be curious and process and learn. If your sun sign is a Cancer, June to July, you are the crab. And your keyword is I feel. If you are a Leo, the end of July into August, you're the lion. And your keywords are I will, right? That lion has that iron will. And then if you're between August and September into Virgo, you are the virgin. And your symbolization is I analyze. Virgos are here to analyze and have razor sharp focus on something. And into towards the end of September into October is Librans. Libran glyph is the scales, and they are all here about balance. And then Scorpio, the scorpion, I desire, late October into November. And then late November into December is Sagittarius. They are the archer. They are the archery. I understand, the arrow. And then late December into January is Capricorn, which is the goat. I use. I like to utilize and strategize. And then late January into February is Aquarius, which is the water bearer. It brings the water. Aquarian is I know, here is the wisdom. And then late February into March is Pisces, which is the fishes swimming in two different directions because Pisces are here to believe and set up their own values. So the sun in our birth chart gives us our important strengths, most important strengths, and it's also placement indicates the main lesson we must learn in order to progress into our full potential. So what you want to do in your birth chart is look at where your sun sign is, which house your sun sign is in, what does this house rule, right? You look at that chart, you're going to get your birth chart down from astro.com or Cafe Astrology. And then you're going to ask yourself, what planet is the ruler of that house? And the chart will show you that. And you could also come back to this video and use it to help you analyze the chart. So opposites also attract, and many times during the course of our life, the universe will bring opposing energy into our experiences and situations to teach us to focus on the lesson that our sun represents. And most of us fail to understand this, so we keep repeating the lessons. But by focusing on the strengths of your sun, you can really understand what your lessons are in life and what life has to teach us. And this can really, make the lessons come more quickly. So another reason to get your chart analyzed. So astrological opposites are Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sagittarius, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, and Virgo, Pisces. You want to look at the opposite in your chart because a lot of times when we have a weak area or a challenge, what we really need to do is look at the opposite. Like I'm a Libra sun, so I look at Aries a lot of time for initiation because Librans oftentimes can't make a decision or they procrastinate and Aries don't. Aries is that, energy, the ram that comes flying in and makes everything happen. So I sometimes will really bring in Aries energy. So you really want to look at where the opposites are in your chart so that you have an idea of what is the energy I need to balance my sun sign, right? Taurus, Scorpio. Scorpios are very passionate and fiery. And even though it's a water sign and they're also very possessive, they're sometimes impractical. And Taurus is very practical. Same with Gemini and Sagittarius. They're both curious signs, but Sagittarius brings it into the metaphysical, and Gemini is very much the physical communication. Cancer and Capricorn. Cancer is the emotion, and Capricorn is the stability. Leo is the fire, and Aquarius is the air, the knowing, right? And then Virgo and Pisces. Virgo is the stability, the detail, and Pisces is, the flooding, the out in the ethers. So the lesson of our sun is to accentuate the positive and eliminate, or I would really use the word integrate the negative into your life. So here's a little bit for each of you, and this is almost the end of the presentation. Then we're going to do something else here today on this little space. But Aries is the ram. And so Aries is the energy. It's a fire sign. It's ruled by Mars. It's a cardinal sign. Aries are highly competitive. They put themselves first a lot. They can be very aggressive. They're natural leaders, and they're also romantic in a very passionate way. But Aries is also an energy you can use for assertion, to widen your focus and broaden your skills. So the lesson of Aries is, learn to lead with your heart, not charge in head first. That would be your life lesson if you're an Aries sun. If you're a Taurus sun, the bull, it's a fire sign. It's ruled by Venus. It's an earth sign. Taurus is stable, materialistic, stubborn, determined, productive, devoted, sensual. Those are some of the key words for Taurus. And it's going to be different individuated in your chart based on what house your Taurus sun is in and what other planets are involved. This is a very general reading. But because Taurus is that stability, they can also be kind of materialistic. And Taurus's lesson, because they are the bull I have, is you can't always get what you want, but you will get what you need. So focus on your resources, not your desires, Taurus. And then we have Gemini, which is the twins. And Gemini is an air sign. It's ruled by Mercury and it's mutable. And some of the key words for Gemini are articulate, youthful, restless, cunning, flighty, sometimes unfaithful. But to be fair, Geminis are just curious. They're curious people. Geminis are so curious, and that's why they are also very knowledgeable about a lot of things. But that curiosity is brought to give them wisdom. So if you are a Gemini sun, remember, communicate with your soul, not just your mind. You want to really drop into that heart energy. If you're a Cancer sun, you are the crab. And you're a water sign, you're ruled by the moon, and you're a cardinal sign. You're very nurturing. You like to be nurtured. You like to touch and feel. You're very devoted. Once someone is in your heart, you don't let them go very easily. But you're also easily wounded, and you can be moody. Cancers sometimes hold a grudge. They like to go into their shell. They have trouble letting go of things. They're very family oriented. And again, this is a general reading. Where Cancer is in your chart by house and any transits and planets is going to be different for everybody. But Cancer is the crab. So Cancer has to remember home is where the heart is. You don't go into the shell that's on your back for security. You go into it for sustenance and provision and strength and power. So try not to be so moody. And Leo, the lion, is a fire sign. It's ruled by the sun. It's a fixed sign. It's generous. It's creative. It seeks recognition. Leo is very egoic at times, especially if they're unevolved. They can be dramatic and bossy and intolerant. They're very good leaders. But Leo, can be a lion that goes out and is destructive and kills and gets food, but also someone who's very protective. So Leo is I will, and Leo's lesson is the power of love must be greater than the love of power. Use your heart, right? And then we have Virgo, the Virgin, which is ruled by Mercury. It's an air sign. It's mutable. Virgos are critical. They're overthinkers. They're hard workers. They're also very much creatures of service. They're here to be of service to the world. And they're analytical and diligent. Even though Virgo, also wherever Virgo is in our chart, is very critical. It's where we self-criticize. Virgo suns, depending on what house, of course, are very diligent. They're hard workers. They're taskmasters. They will stay over and do the overtime when the rest of us want to go home. So Virgo is I analyze, and Virgo is here to see the beauty in this perfectly imperfect world because that self-criticism and that criticism will have a tendency to prevent Virgos from seeing the perfection and imperfection, right? A snowflake is not perfect, but it's gorgeous, right? Things that we have, our uniqueness and our individuation makes us beautiful. And then we have Libra, which is the scales. Libra is an air sign. It's ruled by Venus. It's a cardinal sign. It is balance and diplomacy. It's logical. It's analytical. It's indecisive sometimes. I know I'm a Libra. It can be creative, flirtatious. It loves beauty and loves to avoid conflict. So now Librans try to find balance in everything. And that's why sometimes we can procrastinate if we're a Libra sun. And the reason for that is because we want everything to be perfect before we do it. And the lesson of Libra is I balance. But the harmony of the balance isn't in waiting for things to be perfect or waiting for the relationship to be balanced. The harmony of balance in the Libra sun is found within you and your relationship with yourself. So Librans spend a lot of time looking for balance in others and in relationship, but the way they're going to find balance is within the relationship with self. And a lot of times when I have a Libra sun who's having trouble finding balance come to me for a reading, I'll suggest they spend some time in their own company or some time or a period of time alone, really balancing their own relationship with themselves. Because inevitably that's what you bring out into the world. And then we have Scorpio, the scorpion. It's a water sign ruled by Mars. It's a fixed sign. So if you have a Scorpio sun, you're going to be a very warrior type of energy, warrior. You're going to have courage. You can also be very blunt and forceful. Scorpios, don't fool around. They say what they need to say. They can also be very secretive, emotional, intuitive, jealous, passionate, and obsessive. All great qualities, right? I'm a Scorpio moon, and what I will tell you is Scorpio energy gives you the ability to really go deep and go into the dark and reveal and bring out things that need to go into the light. That's the best use of a Scorpio sun. Scorpio is also very passionate and courageous. So you want to use it for that. And try to steer away from that passionate, secretive side because the lesson of Scorpio is I desire, but miracles and transformation are nourished in love and light, not darkness. So don't burrow too deep. Scorpios will go deep, do their work, and then come out and bring it to the masses. That's a typical Scorpio sun. But they got the stinger. If you are a Sagittarius sun, depending, of course, on what house and what other things are in your chart, you are the archer, the arrow, right? You have to pull something back in order to aim forward. It's a very future-oriented sign for a sun sign. It's fire, it's ruled by Jupiter, which expands everything, and it's mutable. So you're a partier, you're outgoing, you love to be around people, you're funny, you have a good sense of humor, but you're a blurter. You just blurt things out, and then people are like, what the hell do you mean by that? But you're also the philosopher, and you sometimes can be irresponsible. Sagittarians like to play, but it depends on what else is in your chart, of course. And Sagittarians always have to be a little more careful because we have a tendency, Sagittarians have a tendency to become distracted easily. But Sagittarius is the sign that really comes here to find their beliefs and their truth. Sagittarius is all about the truth. You're going to pull things back and aim that arrow at the truth. And Sagittarius is the archer. I understand. And what I will say, the advice for a Sagittarius sun is keep your aim true. Look within for what really resonates. Don't just aim at something because it's the consensus or the masses are aiming at it. And then we have Capricorn, which is the goat. And it's an earth sign. If you're a Capricorn sun, you are ruled by Saturn. It's a cardinal sign. It begins winter. Capricorn is ambitious and goal-oriented. They're leaders. They're serious. They're reserved. They're rigid at times. They can be very practical, prudent. They like status and they like respect. If I had to use one word for Capricorn energy, it's strategic. They're very good strategists. However, we always talk about the mountain goat and how Capricorns like to climb. They're going to be really good in their job. They're going to want to advance. But Capricorns are also here not just to advance and get materialistic things and strategize for that and be good bosses, but their real reason they're here is to get to the top of that mountain so that they realize there's a lot more to life and life has a lot more meaning. So the lesson for the Capricorn is what lies at the mountaintop is not the deepest satisfaction. They'll climb to the top of their trade or their profession and they'll get all the accolades and then they'll go home and say, something's missing here. And they'll do their inner work because Capricorn is all about self-mastery. If you are a Capricorn sun, whatever house that's in, You are here to master and self-master in that particular house and that particular theme in your life. Aquarius is the water bearer. And Aquarius, I think there's a, you know, it's ruled by air, it's ruled by Uranus. We have a lot of Aquarian energy in play now. There's a couple of videos on my social media all about the Aquarius full moon we just had and the Aquarian energy coming in. You really want to look at those. It's ruled by Uranus. It's a fixed sign. It's quirky. It's detached. It's humanitarian. It's organized, intellectual, loyal, pensive, and can be a little contrary because Aquarians can be a little bit disembodied or detached. But the thing about Aquarians is universal love has no limits. So not only are we at a time when things will be very disruptive because Aquarius energy comes in to decentralize and disrupt something in our life, break it apart so we actually go to a higher ground with it and individuate. And I have, like I said, videos about that if you want to know how that will affect you. But the other side of that Aquarian energy, that water bearer, it brings life and love has no limits. And then the last sign of the zodiac is Pisces. It's the fish. It's water. It's ruled by Neptune. It's a mutable sign. It's sensitive, kind, compassionate. It's also escapism. A lot of times, if you have a lot of Pisces energy in your chart, you're going to be prone to escapism or addiction or fantasy. They can be secretive. They also, Pisces are very much a martyr syndrome. If they are not evolved, they want to do so much for everyone because they just want that connection. They seek that. So the lesson for Pisces is, I believe, it's all about finding source. And for Pisces, the light you seek is divine connection. So you have to remember when you dive deep for those connections, Pisces, you want to come up for air. All right. So there are a lot of factors that affect your chart, but that's just some information basically on the sun sign, how to find it and work with it in your chart, and how to really understand how the sun plays into your chart and what your soul has come here, what the purpose of your soul is really in the sun, and how to individuate that and make that part of your identity in your lifetime. So if you want a personal reading, you guys know where to find me. Thank you so much for tuning into the Soul Space every Monday at 7 o'clock. I am going to pull some cards now just for the general energy and the collective. Let me get my cards. And just to see what's going to be coming up this week for us all and see where we're at with that. And remember, you can find me on Soul Space on Facebook. You can find me on Zencuda on YouTube. And you can also find me on Instagram at Zencuda Official. So I'm going to shuffle these really, really good because I feel like we've had a lot of energy. That full moon in Aquarius was absolutely like packed a wallop of new energy. And this week we are integrating all of this new energy. And boy, and I have quite a few experiences, not to mention the fact that I'm on crutches. Okay, so first card I pick is the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords in the tarot deck is a card that reveals something. You have the moon here, and I was just talking about that Aquarian moon. It reveals, see, justice is blind, right? And the two swords going in different directions, and there's all this water and emotion behind. This is indicative of change coming, but something being revealed. We are all getting revelations now. We are all, because of all the Aquarian energy that we're feeling in our lives, we all have a lot of energy coming in that is going to bring things up from the depth. Pluto's in Aquarius. It's going to bring things up for our higher good. Next card I pick is the Fool card. So we're all going on a journey. All right. The Fool card, as you can see, the Fool is all packed for a journey. He's got his little thing, right? And then he's got this flower in his hand, symbolizing new growth, new things. What do you need to grow away from, grow out of? And he's about to take the leap of faith and step off the cliff. You've got all this beautiful golden light and the sun. We were just talking about following your sun, right? So this is all about individuating yourself, allowing what's coming up from the depth, allowing what's being revealed to you. Where do you need to make changes? What are the conditioning? What are the things that you're bringing forward in your life that you don't need to, that you need to change and grow out of to create new things on your journey? Take that leap of faith and come off of the cliff. Do it. And the third is the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is self-persecution. There are things that are weighing you down and holding you down. Okay. You need to take quiet contemplation for the next card, which is the Page of Wands. Because in quiet contemplation, if you go on your journey, right, which will reveal things to you. It's telling us a story. Then you've got this beautiful card of the Page of Wands, which is your message, your new message. What do I need to bring forward in my life? What have I outgrown? What do I need to do in order to create new ways of being, new things that I can do in my lifetime, new places to go, new things to see. Look at how the background changes. Something is revealed. The water is behind us, the emotion. And then now we're stable. We're on earth with golden slippers, right? And all new growth on our staff, all the new leaves coming out. So we're all going on a journey where something's going to be revealed and we're going to be asked to take a leap of faith and do things differently and outgrow some of the ways that we've always done things. And so that's really indicative of the Aquarian energy that's coming in right now. So I hope to see you all next Monday. I'm going to have a special guest. Hopefully, I have to talk to her today. And again, I'm here every Monday at 7, but there's also other videos and all kinds of social media. Just look up Zencuda. And if you need a private reading, you guys know where to find me and you can book that online. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys next Monday at 7 o'clock in the soul space.